Hello everybody, and welcome
really
to the Brawlhalla Tuesday dev stream.
Welcome.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. For those of you who don't know, I am Zeke Dino Heater and Sparks.
And I am Nicholas Redulous Kreider.
This is where we like to go in and show you some behind the scenes stuff. A lot of times we'll show you stuff that's not live yet or that's being worked on.
Stuff that's being worked on, stuff that's not done, stuff that's early on.
Stuff that might wind up being wrong. Today we're gonna show you some of the process behind the scenes stuff that led to the amazing Jiro that you see on your live games. It's kind of where we wind up testing out or proving out a lot of the ideas before we even start doing animations for stuff, right?
Trying to think about character movement, trying to think about what that looks like as a kid.
Yeah, what are all the different
things
things?
With other things,
right? And so we've got over here. This one will seem pretty familiar.
Yep.
You know, this is eventually this wound up on the road to becoming the neutral sword.
Yep.
Later, I think there's some more. Here you get some more of the familiar scythe moves where maybe he's kind of using. This is where we were kind of like looking at, oh, what if we just wound up, could we do, never done it before, but could we use like only a portion of the scythe and wind up doing the sort of Sarigama thing? Right. So this was an idea that before we knew what Jiro was going to feel like, we kind of proved out a bunch of different ideas on just on paper on how that scythe could work. A little shadow.
Just playing with how shadow clones could have worked for him.
We toyed with, you know, we're looking at a super cool ninja and stuff, so we toyed with the idea of like maybe he's got the log.
Yeah, that stuff. Yep, I remember that.
And then here's some more, like, this is pretty familiar for what went in there.
Just let's see it in motion.
And it doesn't always have to be like a big context sheet. Sometimes, I think this was just Mike was like, hey, I've got an idea. What if he uses the kunai, right? And then he throws the kunai, and if he misses, nothing happens. But if he hits, then he teleports up and attacks you, right? This is when we started looking at the side sword, and all of these you can see are kind of the same general idea. So if we go back to look at this B here, this B,
it's kind of like,
okay, well now that we have an idea that we like what B is doing, what are a bunch of different ways that we could do B
with the motion,
with different animation, right?
Yeah,
and then we'll go from there to be like, okay, well, what are a bunch of different ways that we could look at
them?
These shadow clones, what could they be? Or is it a red one with all sorts of ribbons going everywhere, or is it like these dark, demon-looking ones? Blending a couple elements from existing costumes to sort of get an idea. This is before the skin exists for the character,
right?
And so you kind of used a little bit from
just use any part that looks thematically more correct. Yeah.
Give an impression, and then just workshopping like different poses. This is like what first a quick draft, sketch is, and it wasn't the first.
Probably not first draft, yeah.
It wasn't the first. Like we did these quick sketch animations of a bunch of different poses,
right,
to try to find the one that conveys all the things that you need to convey about Jiro. And there were a lot of really good ones with swords. Oh, you're right. Yeah. It's covering up UI. It's covering up a button. It's like, oh man, that's pretty rough. Is it just that one situation, or does it happen? No, it happens everywhere, right? Like this is clipping up into the next skin when you're looking at it in the store, and so it's like, okay, well, we like that pose, but we have to keep workshopping it. We have to keep bringing it in.
Right.
And so I think we eventually wind up with something like this, where
it's brought in a little tighter.
We brought it in a little bit tighter, bring it down some. I think we've cheated the size of the scythe a little bit.
Yeah, that makes
so it's
sense.
not as long as it is when you see it in game. So Rachel just sat down and was like, okay, we know kind of the direction that we want him to go. We know sort of the flavor that we want him to have. Here's all these different ways that I can think of drawing Jiro. Just unbound, not thinking about what he is in game or anything like that. Here we go.
Look at that.
And so you can see, like, we wind up pretty close to this.
Yeah.
Which was the idea that got the most traction, and so she fleshed it out and developed it. She developed it more than some of the other ones. But there's still some really sick stuff going on.
There's some really cool stuff.
It was super hard to decide.
Is that
what direction to go with Jiro.
Medieval mask on a ninja thing? Because it should be.
With his face right up against the screen, going like, hey, this is the same image. It's not. It's not. Belt. No belt. Belt.
I used to love these puzzles growing up.
Right, and it's a little bit like that. And the reason that I put these two in there, imagine that there are about 20 to 30 sketches that look very similar to this. And it gets down to, again, it starts very broad at the beginning with like, does he have a scarf? Does he not have a scarf? Does he have the shoulder pads or not? And does he have armored plate legs or not? And then playing spot the difference. That's right. And then as you get closer and closer to the final product, you're looking at things like, ooh, does it have this belt or not? No, don't tell him that. And then you wind up putting color behind it. And then that's kind of what winds up being the blueprint for what goes in the game. And if you look at this and you look at what's in game, they'll be very, very close.
Right.